What is up, my friends? And you are very welcome along to tonight's late-night Liverpool transfer news roundup. As always, thank you so much for joining me at this hour. There is plenty to get into tonight, and while we'll touch on a few different talking points, the main focus of today's show is going to be Liverpool's centre-back situation and a potentially developing story surrounding Adam Wharton. A story that, interestingly, comes with two very different versions depending on which source you choose to believe. Alongside that, we'll also be discussing the future of the Liverpool manager, the ongoing and frankly frustrating situation involving Harvey Elliott, and a number of other developments that I think are important in terms of understanding exactly where Liverpool Football Club currently stands. As ever, I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts, so please do get involved in the comments section. If you enjoy the video, drop a like, and hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow for more late-night Liverpool chat. The managerial situation, where Liverpool stand. Let's start with the managerial situation, because this is something that continues to dominate conversations among supporters, journalists, and frankly, anyone who watches Liverpool regularly at the moment. My own information, as things stand right now, is that Arne Slot will not be the Liverpool head coach come this summer. There has been a lot of discussion around this topic on tonight's late-night agenda, and I don't want to bore you by repeating absolutely everything that was said there, but the broad picture is fairly clear. Unless an absolutely outstanding candidate becomes available between now and the end of the season, and I mean truly outstanding, the current expectation is that Arne Slot will see out the campaign before being relieved of his duties once the season concludes. That, of course, raises plenty of questions about planning, direction, and what exactly Liverpool are building toward. But as it stands, that is where the situation appears to be heading. That leads me quite nicely into the next topic, which is Harvey Elliott, because his situation has become increasingly concerning and frankly unfair. There has been a lot of speculation recently around whether or not Harvey could be recalled to Liverpool, whether there was any chance of him returning, and whether conversations were happening behind the scenes. However, Paul Joyce has now made it clear that as things stand, Harvey Elliott will not be returning to Liverpool. Liverpool do not have a recall option in his loan deal, and there has been no contact from Aston Villa to suggest that they are open to cancelling the agreement. That alone puts Harvey in a very difficult position, but it gets worse. There is reported interest from Major League Football, Charlotte FC in particular, with Fabrizio Romano noting that unless Liverpool have a recall clause, which they don't, the only way Harvey moves is if Aston Villa agree to terminate the loan. And if those conversations haven't happened yet, then it's very hard to see how this situation resolves itself anytime soon. What we do know is that Harvey Elliott has been dealt a really unfortunate hand here, and I genuinely hope he can get back to playing football as soon as possible. Unai Emery spoke about the situation today and effectively confirmed what many of us suspected. The reason Harvey isn't playing is because if he reaches a certain number of appearances, it triggers an obligation to buy, and Aston Villa do not want to buy him. That is the reality of where we are, and it's a brutal one. Now let's move on to what is probably the most intriguing story of the night, Adam Wharton. Ben Jacobs has reported that Crystal Palace are keen to tie Wharton down to a new contract and effectively turn his future into a longer-term saga, potentially stretching into 2027. According to Ben's understanding, if Wharton does not sign that new deal, there is believed to be a gentleman's agreement in place that would allow him to leave for somewhere in the region of £60 to £65 million, provided a Champions League club comes calling. Crucially, Ben Jacobs also stated that there is no movement expected in January. However, that version of events has been contradicted, and contradicted quite strongly by another source. IndyCaler dropped what they described as a bombshell exclusive, claiming that Liverpool are making extraordinary moves to sign Adam Wharton and are already in talks with Crystal Palace to explore whether a deal can be done at a realistic price. There was no mention of timing, whether this would be a January deal or something aimed at the summer, but either way, I'll be honest with you, I would be absolutely delighted if Adam Wharton became a Liverpool player, regardless of when it happens. Van Hecke and Liverpool's defensive interests. On the defensive front, another name that's been mentioned is Jan-Paul Van Hecke. According to an insider source, Van Hecke is keen on a move to Liverpool and is unlikely to commit to a new contract with Brighton after becoming aware of interest from both Liverpool and Tottenham. That's one to keep an eye on, because Brighton are usually very well prepared when it comes to selling players, and they won't make life easy for anyone. Sam Maguire's data. This is not just bad luck. I want to take a moment here to talk about Sam Maguire, a journalist whose work I respect a great deal. Sam has done a deep dive over on his Substack, and I would strongly encourage you to check it out or follow him on X under Sam Maguire 90, and the numbers he shared are extremely revealing. Liverpool's win probability rate in the Premier League this season is just 48%. Across the entirety of 2025, that figure stands at 53%. This is not a short-term blip, and it certainly isn't just bad luck. The data shows that the tide has been turning for some time now. On tonight's stream, I read out several different pieces from journalists, all making the same point. The football isn't good enough. There's no clear direction, no identifiable style, and very little substance to the way Liverpool are currently playing. I'll be honest, I feel both relieved and saddened by that. Relieved because people are finally starting to speak honestly about what they're seeing, but saddened because none of us wanted the season to unfold this way. Unfortunately, this is where we are. Mo Salah and Saudi interest. Sam Allardyce, speaking on the No Tippy Tappy Football podcast, claimed that clubs in the Saudi Pro League are interested in signing Mo Salah. He went on to say that Liverpool would sell if a good offer came in, and that loyalty doesn't really exist in football anymore, from clubs or players. He referenced the Jordan Henderson deal, suggesting Liverpool made nearly £20 million when they otherwise would have lost him for free. Now, I think Sam is overlooking a key detail there. Liverpool did give Henderson a new deal, and Jurgen Klopp went to bat for him to make that happen. Henderson then chose to move on when he realised he couldn't be guaranteed a starting role. I do agree, broadly speaking, that loyalty is rare in football, but I want to know what you think. Do you expect a Saudi bid to come in for Mo Salah? And if one does arrive in January, do you think Liverpool would even entertain it? Personally, I'm much closer to Jamie Carragher's view on this. Mo Salah deserves a proper send-off, and that should happen at the end of a season, not halfway through one. Maybe there's an understanding that he moves on later. Maybe he finds his form again and gives us another 18 months. Either way, I don't think we've seen the end of this situation yet. Virgil, low blocks and managerial frustration. Van Dijk said something today that really caught my attention. He spoke about fans feeling uneasy, about how easy it is to say move the ball quicker against a low block, and sometimes you have to drag teams to one side before accelerating play. And he's absolutely right. But then I went back and looked at what the manager has been saying, and honestly, it just added to my frustration. The suggestion that there are only two ways to beat a low block, pace in 1v1 situations or set pieces, is simply not accurate. You beat low blocks by moving the ball quickly, creating overloads, dragging defenders out of position,